Welcome to Know You Matter. This is real conversations for people who want to feel a little bit better without being given a to-do list.
Hi, I'm Jacqueline. I'm the restoration coach and I'm Lauren's mum.
And I'm Lauren. I'm the restoration strategist.
And we are ever so glad that you're here.
Hello. Actually, just before we get started, I just want to apologise. And apologise posthumously for the last two podcasts, because if you've heard me sniffing and coughing, I'm not editing them out because it's just so much work. But I am a little bit poorly. Only like a cold. Like I'm not pushing myself through or anything. But yeah, so I do apologise because I do understand that I sound a bit gross, but also you have to deal with it. So yeah, soz. Hello.
I mean, there's a part of me wants to go, why apologise for feeling gross? But I see that it's about the
noise,
sound,
yeah,
and the noise.
Because for me, if I was listening to someone sniff, I'd be like, blow your fucking nose. So I just want to apologise for that.
And also for you though, because what I loved was the message that I got where you were like, I am still feeling a bit under the weather, but hopefully it'll add to the sexy gravel.
Yeah, I want to sound sexy, but
she
I don't
heard
sound
herself
sexy. I
and
just
went,
sound nasally as
no.
fuck. I want a bit like smelly cat. No. Anyway, hello, welcome to.
Can I just say, I've just got, so somebody contacted me recently and had said that they listen to us on their commute into work on a Thursday morning. So to that person, I just want to say, hi! And also because I just have this vision of them being in the car and laughing out loud at the way that we start these podcasts.
Yeah, I know.
Or, kind of listening intently as we go. And I know quite a few people have said to us that they listen when they're on there.
There's somebody that I want to work
drive,
with
so.
that does like podcast auditing, and then they do editing and they create content and stuff from your podcast. And they're on my vision board for us to work with. And sometimes I'm like, I am scared to ask them to audit this and be like, there is no rhyme or reason to what we do. This is a conversation. And that's why I made us record the beginning bit. Because at least then there's something cohesive happening at least once.
You mean the fact that often we've started to have a conversation and we haven't even introduced who we are, and then suddenly I'll realise we haven't even said our names.
Like, wait, I'm Jackie, and I'm
oh yeah, by the way.
So that officially means that these people are always coming in knowing who we are. Anyway, hello.
There's a madness. Hello.
Yeah, so now that the apologies are over, we're still recording this on the same day, so you've been on holiday, and while you've been away, I've been working on some rebrand stuff. Oh, I'm so excited. So many things are happening. The rebrands on my side, the rebrands on your side, just the sort of... I don't know if people understand what it's like to be a mother-daughter team when you work together, and to kind of both be working from slightly different viewpoints. And the way that it sometimes feels that we pull apart and then we come back together and we pull apart, and it feels like this year is the first year that we've really sort of seen how everything starts to interweave and works together. And like, I still can't believe we don't have an offer that's a combined offer yet. Like, I think that's wild, but I know that it's something that we've talked about a lot, and it gets bigger and bigger every time we talk about it. But yeah, one of the things, so we worked with someone on your brand because they had a vision of how they saw you, and it feels like a real freedom for you to step into this really like luxurious sort of the vibe I get, which is like this glam but with this soften and this luxury, and then I love it. I'm loving the exploration of that. And yes, one of the things of that was that Harry, she's has JM, by the way, if you want to go check her out, because she does this for other people as well. One of the things that she'd suggested was she'd seen this vision of the restoration space, which is your membership and your group coaching program, called the House of You, because we've always kind of had the house element and things, but we've never really talked about it. And recreating this with that title, the House of You, and nothing changes specifically in the membership. So if you're listening to this and you are a member, don't panic, nothing's changing. But just the branding of it, the invite, the way that it works is changing. The way that it looks, and that the House of You thing. And then we were talking about the fact that we've never actually come on and talked about the house. So you are the restoration coach and I'm the restoration strategist. We are the blondes restoration.
Mm.
And we have talked previously in previous episodes about what restoration means and that like concept. But we've never talked about house metaphor. And I thought it would be really interesting to talk about what that really means. Like the house of you, like what is it? Yeah. So I thought I'd start by asking you, because I think a lot of people have heard the statement, "You are your own home," right? Tell me what that really means for you, and then you've got some questions to help people sort of see that a bit.
That's a big question.
Yeah.
That's a big. What does it really mean to me? I think it links back to this whole on a previous podcast we were talking about. The whole universe happens within my home. These parts of me. So all of the concepts that I love, the internal family systems where it talks about, you know, these different parts of me, positive intelligence, the saboteurs, the sage, all of these have to live somewhere, and I see this as this physical body, but also this kind of soul and this heart and everything. My brain, my mind, all of this exists within what feels like this home, because this is where everything about me lives. And that's how I see it. So how I experience the world comes from this home that I live in. And when I first started thinking about this, it was that saying, come home to yourself. Because this idea that, you know, we're off doing for other people, which is great, and we absolutely want to be able to do that, but sometimes we just need this time in our lives where we kind of focus inwardly on what's happening to us, what about these patterns, what about the way that I'm living my life, so that then I'm able to now go back out into the world and live in a different way. So it was about that, and it was about kind of how do and I'm going to talk from my own perspective initially, because that whole thing about restoration, realizing that you know, I was living in a home that needed some work, because I didn't know how to ask for my own needs to be met. I wasn't living in a way that meant that, you know, I separated myself from my emotions and understood where they came from. You know, if you think about Rumi, who was a philosopher, and he says, you know, this guest house poem, and he talks about these emotions that come and visit your home every day.
Yeah.
So again, it was that, and that's exactly what the home was about for me. This is the place that I live. This is the one constant. You know, I'm gonna lose people in my life. I'm gonna, you know, have people that stick around or things like that. But the one thing that I don't lose is this home.
Yes.
So this is the place that I live, and it made me think about, you know, homeostasis. Again, I wish I'd listened more in school. But that idea of having this ecosystem within me, this place, for me, it was like rooms. Not just the rooms, but the foundations. So the more that I thought about it, it was like the foundations that I stand on. Are they solid? And for me, that was about self-compassion. It is I think I've mentioned it on another podcast about the nervous system, and that being like the central heating system. So for me, that was that whole bit. You know, do I understand that about myself? So
Yeah.
it was almost, and this image in my head, you know, when you see like an architectural plan, I mean, you know me very well. I adore Grand Designs, you know, George Clark and the various programs that he's done about houses. And I am fascinated that we spend all of this time and energy going in and looking at these places that we're going to live, these sanctuaries, and yet what we're not doing is that for us, like physically for this, because I can live in the greatest house possible, but if I'm not feeling steady and safe and secure and have this understanding and this recognition of what's possible within me, and see this universe that lives within me, and want to understand this, what's the filter I've got on the windows of how I see my neighborhood or the world around me, then yeah, it's that whole way that I see this.
That's such a gorgeous addition to the metaphor, actually, that I don't think I'd ever considered, is that obviously if my house is in disrepair and my windows are dirty, and then when I'm then looking out into the world, am I seeing it through that grey lens And when I clean those and I open the windows and I get the fresh air, and am I seeing it for what it really is, as opposed to, I just think that's a beautiful metaphor for depression as well.
Yeah. Well, that and the greyness, so the you know, the interior design, the decoration, the how do I want it to look, how do I want it to feel, and then that for me represents itself in the external, and I think because something you said before we started talking actually and recording was about how often we focus more on the external part of which I think is important. I want to make sure that this home is weatherproof, and I know we're using a lot of metaphors here. We're going to talk more about that as we go through this.
Yeah, and there's
I'm
nothing
going to
wrong
ask
with
you.
it. Like, I think there's a real thing about trying to like shy away from vanity, isn't there?
Yeah.
Like, you dress because you love your clothes.
I am my own
And
walking piece of art.
Yeah, and you love having your hair done, and you love wearing lipstick, and you love all of those things. And I don't think there's anything wrong with wanting the outside of your house to reflect that. But it's that thing, isn't it? Is that anybody, and this is not calling out my current landlord, this is calling out previous landlords, anyone who has rented a house where they've slapped a lick of paint on, but the foundations are very obviously not very good, and there's damp crawling up the walls after a couple of months, and all those kind of things, knows that focusing on the outside will do call for you if the inside and the foundations are not strong. I think that's the thing, isn't it?
I learned that years
ago.
And
that analogy for yourself, like, it doesn't matter how much I could do everything that they say that I should do. I can put my makeup on and do my hair and do all of these things. I will not feel good if my foundation underneath. So it's like there's no point in me trying to do all of this outside stuff if I'm not gonna have sorted my foundations. I wasn't being rude. I found a poem that I think perfectly describes this. I think it's beautiful. Is it okay to read it?
Absolutely.
It's not hugely long. It's by Erin Hanson. If there's one thing that I may tell you, let it be you are your home. Your body is the only house that you will ever truly own. Maybe it's got some broken windows and there are tear stains on the floors. Maybe you lock the things you wish weren't behind its many doors. But there is wisdom on its bookshelves and laughter like the rooms. There's a vase upon its table where the love you've grown all blooms. Dreams sit on the mantelpiece next to kindness and your trust. Where you use them all so often, they have no time to collect dust. So please don't look at mansions with that envy in your eyes. There's more that makes a home than its appearance or its size. Your body is your shelter, so you deserve to love it all. Don't let the world stand round outside and tell you how to paint your walls. How lucky that you have somewhere to protect you from the night. And if there's cracks left from the past, well, then they just let in more light. I can feel myself emotional reading that. I think it's the most beautiful poem.
It is. It's absolutely stunning, and that's it. That bit at the end. It's the cracks that let in the light. It's the, if you think about all the things that we've done over the years, and I do look and think about how in some ways I've struggled to communicate to you how I want it to look and why it matters, and even one of the posts that we did, kintsugi. Which was the gold in the wrinkles on my face and that kind of thing about pictures. That, really appreciating the wear and the life that's been lived, and that's what I want to do for me and for my body, and that whole part. When I was listening to that, I just kept getting this image. I've got things written in my book. I was thinking about it, the cellar. And the things that live in the cellar that, where do I hide the stuff that I don't want to see? We've all got the junk drawer.
Boxes that we don't touch.
Yeah, and the dust and the cobwebs and I know there's things up there that I need to get sorted, but I we compartmentalize things, don't we? And it's so for me, and when I listen to people tell me these things, and I just have this image in my head of what that look like, and I think I've mentioned this before, but I always remember saying to a particular client when I was kind of bringing this to life and, and talking more about the house analogy. And this person just suddenly went, I plump everybody else's cushions and I just don't do mine. What would that look like if you did? What kind of cushions would you have? So getting that person to talk about what that would feel like. And I know I've had clients that have done that where actually they've had this image of what it should look like. And then once they start to do the work with me, actually they realise it doesn't need to look like that.
Yeah.
And it's okay for it to have its quirks and its bits. So
yeah, I think there's a beautiful comfort in having the house analogy, because like I love it and I use it a lot. Like I visualize my own internal being around it, and I think, you know, especially as people like us who kind of grew up not necessarily knowing any of this stuff, and like we didn't know how to manage our emotions because you were never taught, so like how could you have taught me? And now we're learning and now I can teach, and that's great. But like this is a way to start to, I think, make this seem less overwhelming, because, you know, restoring a house is a massive undertaking. It's huge.
Yeah.
But so many of us do it. And we do it by taking it step by step. We do it by taking it room by room. We do it by not looking at the whole thing all at once and going, ah. You do it little by little. And this, when we visualize ourselves like that, like this becomes something, and we go, right, what are the bits that need to be done first? Because it's like, right, okay, if it was a house, my foundations have to be strong before I can do anything else. And, you know, the systems like the water and the central heating need to be solid, and they need to be working so I can live there, and the roof needs to not leak.
Yeah, are there cracks in the walls? Is there any subsidence?
Yeah,
all of that. It's like,
and those core things that we work on, and I know that there's ways that you sort of visualize those. And then once we've got those core things done, it's like, oh, okay, now what's next? Because it's like we can and we choose. I have a friend who bought this incredible house, and they lived in 2 rooms of it for ages, because they decorated the kitchen. They decorated the kitchen and the dining space so they could eat, and they could spend their time in there, and they decorated their bedroom and the kids' bedrooms, and that was it. And the rest of the house was completely in disrepair, but it's because they then needed to focus on getting some other things structurally fixed. So they focused on what did they need to do to survive right now and to survive well, and then they were starting to sort of move out from there and change it. And I haven't been in a long time, so I don't know now if they're done. But I just think what a gorgeous way to visualize that.
And that whole assessment at the beginning, because I think that's the part, isn't it? You know, you spot somewhere and there's something about it. I feel sometimes that we can have such an awful view of ourselves, and yet actually I like people to consider what do they like about themselves, what do they are the parts of them that you know are working well. So as you begin to kind of do this exploration at the beginning, understanding you know, and beginning to think about, you know, where are you at with your emotions and that kind of thing. So almost a bit of an assessment through all of these things, to then be able to think, you know, what serves me, what doesn't, and then start that work on that. So, you know, and I guess for me, I do guide people to start on the foundations, and to think about, you know, making things more sound to support them while they do this work. That I love that idea that you then get this opportunity. Right, to draw up your own architectural plans. Start to think about how you would like things to look. And what I mean by that is, so I know that I reached a point a number of years ago, and I couldn't even tell you how long ago it is, Lauren. It might be 7 or 8 years ago, where it suddenly just hit me that I wasn't living by my values. I was living by Granddad's.
So I remember this.
Yeah, because it was honestly, and it was a moment I was sat and I was doing some meditation, and I was being really kind of, what I mean by that, I was literally kind of just observing my thoughts, which that's completely normal. Let me tell you something. Meditation for me was never about it being quiet in my head. No. It was about being able to see it and having moments where I came back to my breath and then going, oh, and off again and back. And that for me is how I got stronger and stronger. And it was in one of those moments, and I just suddenly realised I wasn't living my life, I was living Granddad's. Because his value for work, you know, and he worked a lot, you know, to the detriment sometimes, I know, of his relationship with my mum. And he loved that. He loved it. It was right for him. It wasn't right for me, you know. And
so you were living your life by this, like, well, I need to be busy, and I need to have a career, and I need to make it this, and I need to,
and it should look like this, all of that, and I suddenly was like, oh no, that's not mine. and it's that, isn't it? So it's like being able to, so suddenly this in my head, this architectural plan needs shifting.
Yeah.
Because it's been like, this is the area that was developed. And I'm like, actually, maybe I repurpose that room. And I think about it in a different way. And what actually matters to me? And how do I want to build this? And so at the minute, I want to build an extension. Because I was thinking about this whole purpose about being creative. So within me, I know we're all creative. It's just how we want to express it, And again, that's another thing. Some people on here will be listening, might be going, "I'm not creative," and yeah, we're led to believe that through what we're told.
Yeah, because we're told that you can only be creative if you're good at it. They're very different.
Yeah.
They're very different. You can be creative because you love singing and be tone deaf. Like, you don't have to be good at something to do it. You don't have to be good at painting to paint. You don't have to be good at
that. I think that's it. It's people's
Yeah.
definition of what is creative. Creativity for me is how the things around me look. It's the aesthetics. It's what I wear.
Yeah.
How I wear my hair. It's how I wear my hair. It's how I express myself. It's it sometimes is in drawing. It sometimes is in I love calligraphy. I love calligraphy and being able to write. I used to always knit. When you were kids, I knit a lot. I also used to sew your clothes. I used to make dungarees and things like that. So I'm suddenly kind of re-engaging with this part of me, and I'm very excited that I knit a red hood
We've
that
talked about this
literally
on the podcast
finished
before.
it in the summer and haven't worn it, and I've come home going, oh, I can wear that soon. Still not cold enough. But I think it's that. So in my head, I see that as I'm building another room. I want another extension in there, but I get to choose that. And I get, with the support and the scaffolding, which is what I've talked about before, to go into other rooms or to enter spaces within me. So I wanted to talk to you about this a little bit, because I don't think you've had the opportunity to share, and we've never really talked about you. And, if we think about the concept that you are your own home, what does that look like?
So when we started having this conversation, I realised that I do visualise mine quite often without actually considering it too much, because I find it really comfortable to visualise the parts of me as living within my home. So when I see my home, the Notebook.
Yes.
And the big white
plantation home.
sort of home, yeah.
Yeah.
With the wraparound porch.
Yes.
Like that. And so I know. And it's got blue shutters.
Blue.
Yeah. And actually, my elder wiser self, she lives on the back porch. So she lives sitting in a little comfy chair on the back porch. And when we do that visualization for the elder wiser self, this is the home that I go into. And because I definitely know that there's two sides to it. There's you go in the middle and there's two sides to it, and then you come through the back, and then I go outside, and then she's sat on the porch on the back, looking out, and she's got a cup of tea. I don't drink tea right now, but apparently I will by the time I'm old. And that's where she is. And my 6-year-old self, she's down at the front of the house, and my 15-year-old lives upstairs. She's at the back of the house upstairs, out of the way, with the doors closed. And that's how I see it. And I see it. It's this, it's this white house. But when we first did this, it was in a state of disrepair, like the one in the Notebook. There was parts of it that just didn't exist yet. And I think what's really beautiful about this analogy, and I was thinking about it, was, as someone who is a strong, independent woman who can do everything by myself, I say that in that voice because that's absolutely how I've grown up to be. I don't need any help, I can do everything. Is that I would never go into restoration of a house and not expect to get a plumber or an electrician or, an architect or a quantity surveyor or whatever it is to come in and help me with the foundations and damp proofing and all of the things. Why do I expect to be able to fix myself? And I put that in inverted commas because I also don't think I need fixing. But why would I expect to be able to perform a restoration on myself without help? Do you know what I mean? And I do think there's something beautiful about the house thing where it's I realised that I just was never in mine. I was never in mine. You know, I just spent so much time in other people's, and because I used to like morph into people, like the people that I hung around with and stuff, and like I'd like, you know, start wearing the similar clothes to them and start listening to the same music and all that kind of stuff. But it's because I just never spent time inside my own house. And like, yeah. So that's what it would look like. That white house.
You said there about not spending time in your own home.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a, well, you said house. Do you have a view of what it was that stopped you spending time in your own?
Not wanting to talk to the versions of me that I know are bashing about upstairs. I think teenage me, I think angsty teenage me who found things really hard. I think I hid from her for a long, long time. So I think I went to other people's houses because she was like, you know, like proper Kevin and Perry, like smashing around upstairs. It's not fair and all that kind of stuff. I think she did a lot of that, and like, nobody's listening. And I spent a long time being like, well, if I just don't go back and I don't listen to her, she doesn't exist. She gets louder. And I've spoke about this when I talked about on one of the other podcasts, I think, and about the fact that she's the one who scares me the most because she's really angry, you know, and actually, yeah. So I spent a lot of time at other people's houses because fixing their I'm a fixer. Sarah got me my little sister. She got me she'll be so pleased. She got a feature. She got me a little thing that said "fixer of everything," like a little plaque for my desk. And interestingly, I both love that and hate it because she got me it, and it's hilarious because I am the person that people text and go, "Can you help me with this? Can you do this? Will you read this for me? Any chance you can help me with this?" Because I'm the kind of person who goes, "Yeah, I'll figure it out." Like I am that kind of
You love
person.
that.
And I love that, and I've often done it to the detriment of myself. So like I've lent people money when I didn't have money to give, or you know, I've gone out and helped people on nights out when they needed help, and actually it's put me in danger. Do you know what I mean? Like I've done things that are not safe for myself because I've thought that fixing other people's houses was more important than fixing my own. And I think, yeah, I think it was that. It's that fear of, I think it's a similar fear to what people have when they don't want to go be quiet. So I think some people struggle with the quiet because and you know, like being alone and it being silent. Because if I sit in a room on my own, if I'm in an armchair on my own in my room and there's no TV, there's no phone, there's nothing to do, then all of those versions of me bashing around my house are going to start to be really loud. And, you know, and I think that whether or not people understand the analogy, I think people will understand that feeling of like, I don't want to hear shit that I've got to say. But it's like, oh, I've learned over the last couple of years that listening to those versions of me is actually the best thing to do. Like, and I did it again this week, actually, on, I don't know what day it was, but I had been working downstairs on the sofa because I'm not feeling very well, and then I was like, right, I need to shift my body and move, so I went and moved upstairs, and I sat down, and I could hear whatever version of me it is inside my head going, there's no point in doing any of this, it never goes anywhere, we're not any good at this, like blah, 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 and I could hear that they wanted me to go and get into bed, close the curtains, and then just doom scroll the afternoon away, maybe have a bit of a nap, right? And because I'm poorly, I could also hear them going, and we're poorly, so that is what we should do, because we should take care of ourselves and we don't push ourselves into burnout. I could hear it, and I was like, so I went and sat on my bed, but I sat on my bed. I didn't get in my bed, I sat on my bed, and I closed the curtains so it was dark, but then I was like, okay, we're not going on our phone, because we're not going to doom scroll our way out of this. What is it? What's wrong? And I listened to them, you know, kick off about the fact that we're working really hard and we're not seeing any results from it, and nobody's bought our thing yet, and me. And I listened to it and I was like, oh yeah, that sounds really scary. Like, what does that mean? And we did this together, and then I was like, right, okay. So doom scrolling is not going to make us feel better though, and we're not actually poorly enough to need to go to bed. What is going to make us feel better? So I went for a walk.
Mm-hmm.
And I went for a walk, and I didn't let myself get another coffee because I knew I was going to get the shakes, and had some water. And then I was like, okay, well, if we were going to do one thing, what would it be? And it was like that, if I just ignored them or found something else to do or just ignored it, it would have still been there at some point for me to deal with, but she probably would have bashed a door down and I'd have ended up really poorly or something. Do you know what I mean? But because I went and just was like, right, okay, I'm listening. And it was like, I hear everything you're saying and it's not necessarily true.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I get it, and no. So it's that's it for me. So coming home to myself, mildly terrifying because of the versions of me that live inside there, but also really like a real kindness to witness the versions of me without being mad at them. Like, that's the difference for me, is that I think when you start to see yourself as your own home and you start to realize what you've maybe let yourself go through or put yourself through or been put through by other people, and maybe there've been some storms and things like that, is that you'd never go to a house that was battered by a storm and be like, you're shit. You're shit for not managing to stand up against that. You'd be like, oh, let's get that tree out.
You'd give it some compassion.
You would, and it would just be kind, and it would be like, right, okay, I can't fix that right now, but I can put a cardboard over the window, and do you know what I mean? Like,
You said quite a lot there, Lauren, about that reflects how much more compassionate you are with yourself.
yeah,
Because actually to be able to sit in a home with yourself, and you said there, you're right, I know so many people who will say things to me like, oh, I don't like to sit on my own, I don't like to be in silence, or don't be kind to me,
yeah,
because then they
'cause I'll
just
cry.
can't cope. I'll cry.
Don't be
And
nice to me, I'll cry. I
don't
used
be
to say
nice
that
to me,
all the
yeah.
time.
And it's because actually you were saying there, what I think I heard, the sense was, we go off to other people's homes and do things for them because we want to be seen. And that's how we've learned to be seen, is by being useful and helpful and a fixer and all
Yes,
of that.
and I
Whereas
am absolutely that person that falls into that. I am
yeah,
only worthy if I'm
if
being
I'm
useful to other people.
exactly, and actually then the other side of that is that then when we're alone, because a biggie often of that is the resentment that comes, because actually then you don't get that back from other people, and then you just don't want to go sit on your own because there must be something wrong with me. And then you've got all of
Yeah.
this in our heads, and there's all of that goes on, and yet actually when we're able to do that, and you did it, I remember that moment in the car, stop everything, and actually what you did without realizing was you intentionally turned towards compassion and self-compassion. And what I hear now is fierce self-compassion, because actually what you're not doing is saying you're saying yes, it's okay to do these things, it's okay to feel the way that you are, and showing yourself kindness. And that's about action, which is, and do you really want that coffee? You can have that coffee if you want it. The only thing is we'll probably get the shakes from it. Oh, okay, we're gonna get the shakes. No, I don't want that. And yeah, okay, let me listen to you. What are you trying to tell me? What is it? So turning towards these parts of you that are trying to protect you, that have, worked. They came about for a very good reason. It's that, isn't it? So being able to have that.
Yeah.
So it within that home, you can now go sit in your own home, because actually the foundations are much stronger, that when you get those moments, you're actually not shaking. If that does that make sense?
Yes.
It's like I can feel that sense of, the actions that you need to take. It's okay that this whole part, you don't need fixing. You're not broken. There's nothing wrong with you.
No.
Actually, there are a series of patterns or parts that are there, and they need some kindness. They're not going to be given the opportunity to run the house. So 15-year-old you, as much as you can be stroppy, we're not going to be breaking any doors.
Yeah.
And I don't want that, because it has happened before. It's that, isn't it? So that part of the analogy.
Yeah.
With that. Go on, you were excited. What did you find?
And I've realised that we've not recorded since I saw this, because one of the things that this has taught me is to recognise when something might be wrong, but I would normally not realise it. So when I was feeling all of that oh, this just isn't happening, and I'm just not doing a very good job, and I'm not important, and all that kind of stuff, right? I didn't hear that first. I heard I need to go to bed, and I felt the pull to doom scroll. That's what I felt first. I didn't hear that voice yet. It was this part of it, and I felt it like a fucking rope tied around me that was pulling me to my bedroom, because my bed is my safe place. Fucking love my bed. I would spend all of my life in my bed. I'd be one of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory's grandparents. Like, that would be me.
Charlie the
yeah, I would
Charlie
be Grandpa George in the bed
Grandpa
forever,
George.
because I love it.
Grandma Josephine.
Yeah. And so it was because I'd recognised that pull and was like, this happens when something is happening for me. And interestingly, giving up alcohol is giving me these too, because I have recognised I get pulled to want to drink from certain emotions, and I don't recognise the emotion, but I recognise the pull to want to drink, want to smoke, whatever it is. And Darby Hudson is a poet online, and I love them, and I shared this with you because this you know when you read something and it changes your fucking chemistry. So I'm going to read you this. So it says, I will go for a walk and I will smell soil, and I will see a cloud and I will pet a stray cat, and a current of happiness will move through me until I reach for my phone and I take a drag. And that realisation that my phone has become this thing for me to hide from my emotions was a window for me to go, what am I hiding from? And it was that for me. So on that day that I felt that pull, and I went and sat, and I was like, all right, I'll listen to you. I will. And I went and sat, and I laid down, and I was like, right, okay, what's actually happening? And people would think I was crazy if they saw me do this in real time, because I say it out loud. So like I literally laid in bed, and you'll be really proud. You'll love this, right? Because I laid in bed and I listened, and then I could feel myself like I wanted to give her just a little bit of something. So I was like talking back to her, and I was like, yeah, no, that is really scary. I absolutely hate it when I feel like that. Like, and I still feel like that. And then I was like, what do you need? And then I was like, yeah, and I was like, and I gave myself a cuddle, and I was laid in bed, and I was like chatting away to myself. And I don't know if being a mum's kind of opened this up to me more, because I kind of go, how would I treat my son? And that kind of makes this kind of nicer for me, because I'm like, I owe myself the same level of that, which is just a bit nicer. But I did that, and I just think that the power of this like house of you thing, because you mentioned something earlier about getting the extension, and it's like, how many of us, that what we should look like. So I even have that now, where I'm like, I should have, a part of me that's playful and a part of me that's this. But then actually, if we were to look at houses across the world, they're so different. They're all so different. And that's where it's like, actually, other cultures and things are so important, because what do other people focus on in themselves that I don't focus on, because I don't see it as important, but actually it really fucking is important. And I think having the space to come back and do this and go, what does this, how do I see myself? Because I do think one of the things, you might not be able to see yourself really visually. It might not be this magical thing where you can see this double fronted white house or this tiny little cottage or this cabin or whatever it is. You might not get that, but you might get this overwhelming sense of the fact that it's dilapidated to fuck.
Yeah, it's interestingly. So the clients that I've talked about with this, they can feel it, and some of them it's the home that they live in.
Yeah.
Currently, and that's how it's almost this image.
It doesn't have to be this magical vision that stays the same for your entire life, but it's this.
Yeah, it's that, and then it's what you were saying there about this vision of what needs fixing.
Yeah.
That when you think about the sadness of a house and what that looks like, and
got like the Lemony Snicket.
Yeah, so the abandoned house or the Lemony Snicket house. There's all of these images.
Is it full of laughter and fun?
What does it look like? And all of these things that I invite people to do are explorations for them to kind of then think about. And that's what we want to do more of with the House of You, is actually bring it back to that.
Yes.
So if, this kind of inviting people to think about this imagery, and maybe drawing some of it, so one of the things I'd love to that we're going to look at is having an architectural plan that people are going to be able to use to keep a record alongside a journal, so that they can kind of plot it out, because that recognizing what part matters to them at this moment, to be able to explore a little bit more. So there'll be more freedom as we kind of develop with this. But yeah, that's for me such a. It's never gone for the last 3.5 years.
This has been the image.
Longer than that now. It's been this and bringing this to life. Within restoration.
Can I ask you, if you were going to think about a person who, this kind of visualization and this approach to themselves, because I think that's what this is that there are lots of ways that people can choose to go through their own restoration, but this approach of seeing yourself in this way and, really going back to the foundations first and sort of then building from there, being able to choose that for yourself. When you see a person who that would help, what do you think they might be starting to recognise now in their own life that would maybe suggest this was the right time to consider this?
It's really funny. I sat in a sunbed. I was sat in it was one of the 4-poster bed things. And there were people sat around me, and I heard this amazing woman, like, who was sat near me, say, "I've just lost my sense of who I am." And I heard her say that, and this, I obviously I didn't comment, and I would never have said, but I was really listening, and it got me. I was journaling some stuff, and then I heard lots of transitions, lots of different things. This lady's just found out she's pregnant, and got a new job, and this bit, and just the saying, "I feel like a fish out of water." And I don't think this is just women. I think men feel it too as well at times. And it just, that really kind of struck me, where it's, that sense that something's off. And everything that I've done has always, maybe it did get me the results that I wanted. Maybe I did, but you've just kind of, I do feel it's this kind of sense.
Like that shakiness.
Yeah, it's just something's not right. And I want the opportunity to explore that. It's, this feel, because it is going to be work, particularly in the membership. It's, there's much more self-guided.
Yeah.
When I work with people one-on-one, we have the opportunity to have sessions twice a month where we're really kind of diving in, and they can contact me, and I'll kind of create things for people as we go, versus the membership is really, this is about people knowing, they're prepared to do that work, and to really be able to take a look at it. So, I think for me, somebody that's ready for that, and who's maybe they're realising, I was about to say who's curious, but do you know what? Maybe because actually they're realising that they're bloody judgmental of themselves. I think that's it, and I think that's it. I feel like a fish out of water. Suddenly, I don't feel like I fit. And I think that's a big clue. It's like, this is not, my life's not fitting me anymore. Yeah. It's like, I just feel like I need to, something's not right.
I hope you're watching this, because you'll see all
I'm
of the,
just kind of doing this whole bit. I think it's that part, like when I suddenly realised that I was wearing Dad's, it was like I was wearing Dad's coat in the house. Like not your dad, my dad. And I'm just like, I'm looking around going, this is Dad's decor. Like, Dad?
Yeah.
No,
I didn't put that cross stitch there.
Yeah, I didn't add that. It was done this wallpaper.
Clocks.
Hang on a second. I'm not a fan of Pebble Dash.
Oh, Pebble Dash. God.
So I think for me, it was that image of just like, no, this is not, no.
It sounds like it's a question, actually, that it's like, if you were to consider yourself and who you are in your home, does it feel comfortable? Does it feel sturdy? Does it feel like you? Does it feel, because actually, when I was doing the copy for the website, I said about the fact that it doesn't matter what stage of restoration you're in, right? Because it might be that it feels like there's some minor repair to sort of happen, and maybe it's a bit, that you don't feel like there's enough, like that you've got knowledge of the rooms, and that you don't, maybe it's the tiles need redoing, and you're trying to figure out, you've kind of lost that sense of kind of who you are.
Yeah.
And that, but it's kind of like, it's not necessarily as deep, but then it might be a bit more sort of structural. It might be, you know, a little bit more than that. It might be that actually you've kind of lost your values and your boundaries, and you kind of needed to think about the walls and that kind of thing. And maybe foundationally there's a real break here, and that maybe this is deeper than this, and that maybe it is that you don't know how to be compassionate for yourself, and maybe it is that. So actually all those stages they're very different stages of restoration, but that's the thing about this membership that I think is beautiful, is that you know, people can come in at any point. Like, it's about them and seeing that, and it is that question of, where do you see yourself? Because if you see yourself in any of those stages, then maybe this is, you know, and maybe it isn't. And that's what the thing is, that when you read it and you experience it, maybe working one-on-one, maybe it's counselling, maybe, you know, that kind of thing instead. But that's what the conversation is for, isn't it?
Yeah. And I think why this matters, I have a Pinterest board that is called the House of You. And I have on there, so this is like my own home.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, when I think about how I want that to look, and how that reflects who I am, I am such a mixture of things. It's like, you know, I'm not one colour across the board. I'm different colours, and, you know, and there is a deepness and a warmth to it, like that's who I am, and a richness. It is that luxuriousness, that kind of, that's how I want to approach life. That's and being able to see that, there's a brilliant picture that says dramatic exit. Also, though, there's a safe space and a quiet space. You know, you said something earlier which actually we've not touched on, which is, you know, in your home, yes, that bed is your safe space. And actually I know we've not really got time to talk about it quite so much now, but actually when you think about the concept, you said that there wasn't a lot on the walls, it was books.
Yeah.
So it's, you know, so what does that, but I've got a library within me, because that's how I see it. That's where my books are. Doing some more exploring and thinking about, you know, the House of You, I was like there is a gym in my house, because being strong matters to me. You know, there's also, you know, there's a garage, which it sounds random, but in my head I'm like, I can see it. Do you know the room that I adore, and I want you to think about what's the one that you adore, and I think I might have answered some of that, but the room that I adore is my dining room. And you know why? And I'd never thought about this, but it is, and I can't let this go. It's the dining table, and Harry got this. It's the dining table because it's about the people that sit around it, and it's this because I see
in the conversation. And the
every time I see that online, and I see different companies, Red Magazine do it. You know, people like Erica Davies and that I follow, that they're incredible fashion people.
They have these dining
all
rooms.
have it, and they get invited to these places with these incredible dining tables, and it's that, for me, it's what it looks like, and it's the conversation. Who would I want at that table?
That connection.
You know, who are the parts? And sometimes it's other parts of me. It's these other versions of me that I have, and I see that they're sat around that table, and we're having a conversation. I can feel that. You know, the version of me that struggled at, you know, being a mum at 20, you know, the version of me that, you know, was divorced at 24, and then, you know, was getting remarried again at just before 26, you know. So there's all of those versions. The version of me at 16 that stood up for herself for the first time ever, you know. So I look and I think about these versions, and I think about that around the dining table. On other times, though, it's like, now, who would I have at that dining table? Ilona Mayer, Sarah Byrne.
Yeah.
You know, who are the people that I want there now? So who are the clients that I work with? You, family. You know, so it's, for me, it's, I don't know that I'd ever really thought about the importance of that room. And, you know, how I want it to be in this. But it is, every time I see it, it is a richness. It's I'm not talking expense. I'm not talking expensive. I'm just talking about the look and the feel. And yet that's how I want, that's how I want to feel. Because when I've got that, when I see this colour, because, you know, I think I've mentioned on here before, I know that in counselling once I described that this attic room that I was in was devoid of colour. It was grey. come back to what you were saying about the depression. It was grey. There was nothing on the walls. It was cement. There was nothing to it in the slightest. And yet what happened over the time when I was talking and I was beginning to really meet my own needs and beginning to understand the importance of having all of these emotions and not getting caught up in them because they're not always true. They're not truths. I need to understand them. Once I began to do that, I was fascinated by how the colour came in.
Yeah.
And rather than it being the Wizard of Oz, I opened the door and I went into the colour. I was the colour.
Yeah, brought it in bit by bit.
Yeah,
bit by bit.
I was the colour. And that was where suddenly it was about the people that surrounded me. So I realised I wasn't in a space on my own. There were other places around me and other houses and things like that as well. And yet I had my own garden, I had my own fence, had my boundaries.
Yeah.
There was... We've talked before. I'd have a massive fire pit, which I do have. It's not massive, but we've got a fire pit where we live now. I love that.
Yeah.
I love this idea of having, cinema in the garden and conversations. So for me, it is that. So I realised that the more that I thought about the place that I am, community matters, people matter, conversations matter.
Isn't that beautiful though? The more we focused on you and making sure that your house was safe and sturdy and supported and compassionate and all of those things, the more you were able to invite people in.
Yeah.
And the more you're able to go and wander to other people's houses and support them because you know that you're going to come back to your safe space.
Yeah.
Like, and I think that's it, isn't it? Like, that's the...
What's your favourite room in your home?
I don't know, because I'm pulled between two. I'm pulled between the bedroom, so my bedroom, which is my safe space, and I also have this image of, it's not a living room, right? I think it might be a snug.
Ooh.
Yeah, so I think it's not where I'd invite loads of people into. Like, I think it's quite a protected space. But it's comfortable, it's dark, it's got, those, oh my gosh, those lights? They're like lamps. So it's a lamp on a table, and the base of it is metal, and then it's glass, and the glass is colour.
Oh, yeah.
You know which one I mean? And it's all like, and there's a name for them. And it's got like lights like that, and it's quite bric-a-bracy. There's lots of photographs on the walls, family and experiences. So this is the place I come that's like this really safe space, which is like, it's got books and board games, and I'm always sat on the floor. I don't know why, in my head. There are couches and soft things, but I'm on the floor, on cushions on the floor.
Little Lauren going there.
I think that's where she spends her evenings when she's not painting.
I'm watching.
I can see myself.
I know, I can see.
And like, there's a
Pulling
little
yourself in.
fireplace, but it's got a guard. So it's super safe, and the curtains are closed, so I can feel it. I can see this little safe space in my house, and it's like I invite people in, but there's very few people are allowed in this room. I feel really emotional thinking about this. Right, Dave's allowed in, obviously. Arla's allowed in. You're allowed in. But there are people right now that I can think of, man. I'm not going to say this on the podcast because I think that would kind of mean you're a dick. Yeah, there are people who I'm like, and it's not. I'm not like super mean about it or anything, but I'm like, no, you can go sit in the kitchen. I'll see you out there soon. But that's what I feel like. I feel like little Lauren, and I'm like, no, this is my little safe space, and I've got like a little colouring back, and that's my little, a little snug. I think that might be my favourite place, my favourite room. And I think it's that, isn't it? It's like that little safety bit actually is the most important for me right now. So isn't that interesting, actually, that is, and it maybe at some point it'll become the space where I have people, but that's my focus, is that's where I can retreat to. Like, that's really important. I think I spent so long being the kind of person who thought I had to be, this extrovert, this like really outgoing, bubbly person, and actually acknowledging that there's a part of me that isn't that, and that I am just both. I'm neither introverted nor extroverted. There are times and spaces where I'm both, and acknowledging that part of me that's now like I'm retreating into myself, but not out of I'm hiding, but out of no, hang on, I want to find my safety in here, and it's actually kind of beautiful. So yeah.
Oh, I feel honoured.
Yeah.
To be invited.
There's no
in.
TV
I can
in it.
feel it. No TV.
No. No, it's like do you know what it's like? You know Rachel's Snug.
Yes.
It's a bit like that, but like decorated differently. But that kind of like little fire pit, and there's a friend that I've house sit for a few times. She doesn't own the house anymore, but it's the most beautiful thing in the world.
Yeah, it is.
And she had this
So
snug
nice.
that was just the safest place that I just love to be in there. It's dead little. I think that's the thing for me, is that what you'd notice, I think, as you can't get many people in this room. It's little.
It is
It's a little room.
Yeah.
You know, and there are other spaces in my house I can see that are big and open and bright and things, but this is a little room with only one door.
Well, thank you for inviting us and sharing it and what it looks like.
I love
It's
talking about
beautiful.
the house. It's one of my fave. So yes, so it'd be for me, I'd like to invite people to consider how they feel about themselves if they were to think of themselves as a house, and if they do have that feeling of something just isn't quite fitting, even if they can't see themselves in the house, but it's just that feeling of, oh, something just isn't quite right. I would genuinely love them to invite them to come and talk to you and consider the membership, because I see what it does for people and what, you know, the changes and things, and that's, I'm not leading it and I'm not having the experiences with your clients that you are. And I just think that's magical. So yeah, so I would like to officially invite people to come and check that out. I'll put a link in the show notes.
Amazing. Well, thank you, Lauren.
The House of You.
Yeah, the House of You. Yeah, I'm
Amazing.
excited. I know this is now well, by the time this goes out,
Yeah,
it will be hopefully live.
November.
Yes.
Ah,
Did we just say November out loud?
we're gonna need to plan some Christmas episodes.
We will.
On that
Anyway,
note.
thank you for listening.
Thanks for coming.
As always.
Chat soon. Bye.
Bye.